Major funding for this program has been provided by the Indiana University Office of the Vice President for Research.
Cicadas are everywhere. Today in the Friday Zone, we are going to learn all about cicadas. So stick around and we'll see what the buzz is all about.
It's Friday, the Friday Zone. That's my way to carry on. Ooh, the Friday Zone. Well, what do you got at the end of the week? It's a big, big world. Let's take a peek. Now we're in the Friday Zone.
Hi, I'm Echo. Welcome to a very special edition of the Friday Zone. In fact, it is so special that it only happens once every 17 years. Our show today is about the 17-year cicadas. It's hard not to get up close and personal with the cicadas. They're everywhere, but are they safe? Of course they are. We'll learn more about cicadas later, but first, here are some Harmony School students who have some great questions about them. You might have some of your own.
How long does a cicada live?
How can you tell a male from a female?
What do they taste like? And how do they make their noise?
What do they eat?
What is their life cycle? What are their predators?
What's the advantage of them being on like a 17-year cycle coming out like that?
Are cicadas dangerous? Can they bite you or hurt you?
Just joking. It's not the end of the world or a plague of locusts. Cicadas are safe, at least to people. Earlier, I talked to Keith Clay, a research biologist from Indiana University who's been studying cicadas. Let's take a look. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Echo.
Hi, thanks for
Welcome.
coming into the Friday Zone. Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, now we are in the IU Research and Teaching Preserve here at Griffey Woods.
That's right.
And is this one of the places you study cicadas?
Yeah, it's one of many places that we're looking at cicadas.
Wow, so tell me a little bit about these creatures we've been seeing all over the place.
Well, cicadas are fascinating insects. They have this very long life cycle where they live for 17 years, one of the oldest live insects on Earth. They spend most of that time underground and are just now emerging. The adult stage emerges and they mate and reproduce, and then they die and won't be seen again for another 17 years. Cicadas are closely related to aphids, which are sap-sucking insects that you see on garden plants. Cicadas live below ground on the roots of trees and shrubs where they're sucking the sap from the roots.
So does that harm the trees?
That's one of the things we're trying to investigate in our studies. They certainly do damage to trees. It's very evident when they lay their eggs in twigs and branches. But in the larger scheme of things, we don't know if that damage is very serious or whether it's a minor bother, but of no great harm to the trees.
Huh, interesting. Are they harmful to us humans?
No, they're not, Echo. They don't bite, they don't sting, they're not poisonous, they're no threat whatsoever.
Good to hear since they're everywhere.
Yeah, they sure are.
Okay, so what kinds of different cicadas are there?
Well, Echo, actually there are thousands of different types of cicadas around the world. They occur on all continents except Antarctica. The so-called periodical cicadas that occur around here are quite unique, but other types of cicadas occur in many different habitats, in deserts, in tropical rainforests, in grasslands, and most of them have a much shorter life cycle. Only in eastern North America do we find the periodical cicadas that either have a 17-year or 13-year life cycle. They're found nowhere else in the world, and so this region is quite unique in that respect. But even around here in Indiana, we have other kinds of cicadas. There's one called the annual or dog day cicada that comes out a little bit later in the summer. You can often hear
Every
it
year?
every year, every summer, not every
Not every
17 years.
Okay.
Exactly. And they tend to call in the evening and after dusk, and are a typical summer sound. But they're not the same as the periodical cicadas that we'll only see this year and not again till 2021.
Wow, so do they really spend all 17 years underground?
16 years and 11 months, pretty much.
Wow, how do they know? How do they get that exact timing?
That's a very interesting question, and nobody knows exactly how they measure time, but they clearly do. If you go to an area where there are many cicadas, a few will come out mistakenly a year ahead or a year behind, but it seems like 99.9% come out right on schedule.
Wow, that is neat.
Yeah, it is.
So the last time these cicadas even saw sunlight was back in 1987, 17 years ago. What have they been doing that whole time?
They haven't been doing much. All of the cicadas that we're seeing right now are 17 years old.
Wow.
They hatched in probably July of 1987. Ronald Reagan was president back then. From small branches where the females lay their eggs. When they hatch, the young nymphs drop immediately to the ground, and they burrow or find a crevice into the soil and try to find roots to hatch or latch onto and begin feeding. So for this 17-year period, they're basically sucking sap out of the roots of trees, slowly growing, slowly, until 2004, right now, when somehow they get the urge or the compulsion to come above ground and finish their life cycle. Around this time of year, they emerge from below ground. They make these characteristic holes that they crawl out of. And the first thing they do, and this is the nymph, what we call a nymph, an immature cicada, the first thing they do when they crawl out is try to find a vertical surface, usually a tree trunk, to climb up on. And oftentimes they climb way up and they get on the underside of leaves or sometimes the trunk itself. Then their exoskeleton splits open and the young adult pushes its way out, kind of like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. And this is a very vulnerable time because they're defenseless, they can't really move, and they're easy game for birds and squirrels and what have you. So if the adult pops out of its shell, it then hangs onto the shell. It's kind of interesting, and its wings hang straight down and they expand. And it's important that they be vertical so their wings develop properly. If they're sideways or upside down, their wings become all deformed, and you'll see many cicadas with deformed wings.
Wow.
It takes about 3 or 4 hours for this process to finish, and then you have a mature adult cicada that can fly away. They fly up into the trees and the males sing and call to females that are attracted by their songs. At that point, they mate. The females lay eggs in small branches. Then the adult cicadas die, and we're back to square one. The eggs hatch, they drop to the ground, and the whole cycle repeats itself.
What do they eat? Because my parents were kind of worried that they might eat our plants, and we didn't know if that's what they ate or not.
When cicadas lay their eggs, they definitely prefer certain types of plants over others. First of all, they're laying their eggs on woody plants, so garden plants like tomatoes or daisies or tulips are not going to be affected by cicadas. They don't go for those soft tissue plants. They also don't lay their eggs on pine trees or other types of evergreen trees, conifers. They're laying their eggs on deciduous broadleaf trees. Apple trees are probably their absolute favorite. Maples are also very high on their list of preferred species. In contrast, aromatic, strong-smelling trees like sassafras or sumac seem to be fairly low on their pecking order. This is a sugar maple tree, and that's one of their favorite host plants as far as we can tell, although they might prefer red maple even more than sugar maple. Maples in general are excellent food plants for these cicadas.
All right, Keith, thank you for coming here, giving us all this great information, and good luck with your research project.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you learned something.
I did. I learned a lot.
I have a special present for you.
Oh, lucky me. Okay, and they don't bite. They don't bite.
Nope. Take care.
I'm taking him home with me.
Sound like motorcycles with a bad problem.
Their sound sounds like the spaceships from Mars Attacks, so I think they're coming.
It's hard to go anywhere without hearing that noise cicadas make. But how do they make it? Let's go to Wonder Lab and see a unique exhibit on cicadas they have on display. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Echo.
Thank you for having me at Wonder Lab.
Thanks for coming.
That is the hugest picture of a cicada I've ever seen.
They're really beautiful under the microscope,
They
aren't
really
they?
are.
Let me show you some things about them. One of the questions we get a lot is how do you tell the males from the females?
Yes, we've been
And
wondering
it's-
that all day.
Well, it's actually really easy. If you lift up the wings and if you see a little white structure right behind where the wings attach.
Oh yeah, that little patch right there?
Yeah, that little white patch. That is called the tympanum, and only males have that. That's the sound-producing structure of the males. Only the males have that. So you see that little white patch?
Yeah.
You know you've got a male. I'll come back and talk more about that in a minute. And the females have a different sort of structure. Here's a female. They don't have any of the white sound-producing patches behind their wings, but they do have this amazing thing at the tip of their abdomen called an ovipositor. It looks like a sharp, pointy needle, but it's totally harmless to people. They don't use it for people at all. It's used to slice little notches into the twigs, which is where they lay their eggs.
Yes, and how do they, speaking of laying eggs, how do they lay those eggs?
Okay, well, let me get a close-up here on the camera. On the microscope.
Oh, wow.
So if you look really closely, you can see that the tip of the ovipositor has little serrated edges on it.
Yeah.
Well, they actually use that like a little Swiss Army knife to slice into the bark of small twigs. And they do that to create a little nest, and then they lay their eggs in that little notch, and then they move on and do that over and over again. One female can lay up to 600 eggs at one time.
And you can see that on this branch here.
Right. These
You
are
can see how many little notches she's put in there.
These twigs are not from this year. These twigs are 17 years old, so they're from 1987.
From back when these guys were just laid.
Right, exactly. So here you can see what looks like, the little white material here are actually wood fibers. that were brought up when the females sawed in underneath the twigs. They walk along the twig and make a series of V or sometimes Y-shaped nests that are dug right underneath the bark of the twig there. So here's one, here's another set, here's another set. And then she lays, 10 to 20 eggs in each of those little nests. And they have a nice, small, secure little microhabitat in which to grow up.
Now, does that hurt trees?
Well, it can hurt small trees or very young trees that are mostly twigs. The females only lay their eggs in twigs that are about the size of a pencil or less. So if you have a young tree and many of the twigs are damaged like this, it can kill the tree. That's why you see a lot of people are covering their small trees with cheesecloth or the light tulle fabric.
I have seen that.
Yeah, they kind of look like ghosts.
Yeah,
little
they
ghosts
do.
in people's front yards. But that's a way to protect the small twigs from being damaged by the cicadas. On a big tree that's healthy, it may look kind of bad for a while, but it won't permanently damage the tree.
Good to hear.
Now, after the eggs are laid in here, they grow and eventually will hatch, and then tiny cicada nymphs will come out of the egg that are about the size of a small ant. And they don't live or feed on the twig at all. Those little tiny nymphs fall out onto the ground and burrow underground and start the cycle all over again.
So do the adult cicadas eat?
Well, they eat a little bit, not as much as the immature stage, but here's the mouth parts of the adult. You can see it right in there between its legs. It has a piercing shape so that it can stick that proboscis right into a leaf or a twig and suck up the plant juices. So this is different than the way in which a butterfly feeds. A butterfly has a tube that can't pierce. It just puts its proboscis into the nectary of a flower and sucks it up, kind of like a straw. These insects actually have to poke into the leaf to get the plant juice out.
So how do the cicadas make that noise that we hear everywhere?
How do they make that noise?
The noise that we hear all the time.
Well, I have to find a male to show you that.
So only the males make noise?
Only the males make that singing song. The females can make a little bit of noise when they snap their wings together as a way to respond to the male, but the males are the only ones that sing.
Back to that little white spot.
So here's the male's timbal, that little white spot. And what it is a structure that acts just like the head of a drum. You can see it has these little vertical ridges on it, and those are little ribs that stiffen that material so that it actually can vibrate really rapidly. Now there's a tiny muscle attached to the timbal, and when that muscle contracts, it pops the timbal one way, and when the muscle relaxes, it pops the timbal the other way. So a male does that hundreds of times per second. And it
Wow.
sounds kind of like this.
It does.
I'm just doing this with a little clicker
simulator.
toy. Yeah, this is my cicada simulator. Got to get synchronized. Now, the males get together on this and group together in clusters of chorusing males. So when you drive around town,
Yes.
you'll hear trees that are filled with males. So they all congregate together because the sound of thousands of male cicadas singing is more attractive to the female than just one cicada.
And there's no way we can do this hundreds of times per second.
No, I don't think so. That's something that only insects
Wow.
can do.
Karen, thank you so much for having us here at Wonder Lab.
Oh, I'm glad you came. I hope you had a good time.
I did. Do cicadas have predators? You bet! A lot of animals find them to be tasty treats. Their predators include fish, birds, dogs, even people.
There's a lot of protein and fat.
Would you like to try a cicada? Considered a delicacy by some, you might be surprised at how many people like to eat them.
Okay, so then we have 10 rolls over here that I picked this morning, and then I just froze them live.
And then we've been deep frying them, and we have nacho cheese sauce. A little ketchup and mustard. Great, I love it. Great. Find some room for it. You can put your sodas in the. Kelly Brewster and Liz Lehman are two Indiana University biology students who love cicadas, or at least love to eat them. So, Kelly, Liz, I understand you have some tasty treats for us.
We do.
Made out of what else?
Cicadas.
That's right.
Of course. So, how did you get started eating cicadas?
Actually, I went to Liz's house, and she started eating cicadas.
Served her up some cicadas.
We had friends who just were interested in cicadas, had eaten cicadas and other insects before, and we thought, well, there's more than enough of them, so we might as well try.
So, what did you think when you first tried them?
I admit that I was a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
And I had a glass of water in case I was going to have to,
Oh, yeah.
you know. But then I tasted it, and I liked it.
What did they taste like?
They're very kind of nutty. It depends on how you cook them and what other flavors you put, but they have kind of a basic nutty flavor.
Yeah.
Really? Are they safe to eat, for everyone to eat?
Certainly you should never put an insect in your mouth at random, and you would definitely want to make sure that your parents know what you're doing. Cicadas in particular really shouldn't be eaten by anyone who has an allergy to shellfish.
Okay.
Their shells are made of similar components of that are found in shrimp and lobster and that kind of thing. But if you go to the public library, you can find books and books and books on different kinds of insects that are safe, healthy, and good for you.
And tasty?
And tasty.
So what do you have here with us today?
Well, we have a couple different things that we can try. These are cicadas. These are cicadas that have been dipped into chocolate, and these are cicadas. There's no other coating on them other than they have a little bit of cinnamon and sugar. And we also have cicada chip cookies. So in addition to chocolate chips,
cicada chip.
Yeah, cicadas. There's some cicada pieces in there.
Wow.
And also some very yummy cicada peanut brittle, which is my favorite of the things we've made so far.
Really?
Yes.
Because you said it kind of has a nutty taste. Probably just blends right in.
It does. It does.
All right. Well,
Good.
we have some lucky kids here ready to try some cicadas.
Are you
guys
guys
excited?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
You guys go first.
Yeah.
You go first.
You want us to go first?
Yeah, you guys go first.
Okay, I think I'm going to have a chocolate
Me too.
covered
I haven't had
cicada.
these yet.
Gosh!
That's really good. The chocolate.
It tastes just like nuts.
That's
oh
excellent.
my gosh!
I haven't had one of these yet.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
Is it good?
tastes just like nuts.
It's good, huh?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You can do it.
I can't do it.
I know you can do it.
Put it in
Are you
the
gonna
back
do
of
it?
your mouth and
Actually,
chew
these
it up.
are so good.
Yeah, you can. Let me pick you a good
Are they
one.
good?
Cinnamon sugar one. Get a lot of chocolate.
This is
on
a good
hers.
one.
No, I can't do it. I can't eat it.
And you can.
No, I can't.
Think
If I
about
do it,
them.
will you eat it?
Why don't you guys do it together?
Okay.
Okay?
Oh my gosh! I don't think I can do it.
You can. Put it. Put it.
I can't. I will do it. I can't.
I'll take it then.
Okay.
Sometimes you gotta pick the little cicada pieces out of your mouth. Yeah. Yeah.
How is it?
That's all right.
It's good. Okay, ready? I will eat this, and it has a big chunk of cicada in it. Okay. All right. Okay. You have to. Okay. You can do it. People all around the world are excited about this.
It's weird, low carbohydrates. Tastes just like a nut, doesn't it?
You don't taste anything.
No, I can't, but it's in my head that it's a bug.
It's hard. Yeah. But that's part of the cultural differences that. Yes, they do crunch.
Buddy.
Well,
I'm even chewing.
that's good. That helps to get it down.
I cannot believe I just ate a bug.
Echo,
And it tastes fine. It really does.
It really does taste fine.
It is crunchy.
Yes. There's actually some insects. I can't remember what country that they're in, but 5 insects is the entire nutritional value for a human in one day.
Really?
Yes, 5 grubs of this particular insect meets all of your nutritional needs.
I could choke down 5.
You could, and that's so all over the world. Lots of different kinds of yummy, tasty insects. In addition to being a food source for animals and people, cicadas have been used for certain ailments, and some find them pretty enough to model jewelry after. Regardless of your feelings about cicadas, these unique creatures are only here temporarily. It will be another 17 years before their offspring emerge from the ground to repeat the cycle again.
You don't see them very much during other summers, but lately you've just been seeing them everywhere, and it's cool to see them all.
They're also pretty fun to like stick on your fingers and they just stick there all day, you know?
I think they're pretty cool, but when you first look at them, they can be kind of scary, and most people just squish them because they don't know what they are, and I think that's not very nice.
You kind of learn a bit about them. It's really cool because, I mean, they come out only every 17 years, and to be there at one of those 17 years when they come out is just really cool, and I think it's going to be a good memory that I saw these and they were all over the place.
Well, that's all the time we have this week, but before I go, I want to thank all of my guests and the great kids from Harmony School for helping us discover cicadas. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week in the Friday Zone. Where is it? Oh, we ate them. Yeah, the cookies were good.
I like the chocolate.
I like the peanut brittle. That was the best.
Yeah, everyone else liked the peanut brittle. They taste like peanuts. Yes, go play cupcakes.
Major funding for this program has been provided by the Indiana University Office of the Vice President for Research.